Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. We have a fairly decent, fairly decently sized Marvel image haul this week. So let's continue with Uncanny X-Men number 13. Where we left off, we had with an issue centered on Gambit. Learning a little bit about his past, and his growing up in New Orleans. So, the issue we have multiple story arcs in the issue. We open with a young woman named young black woman named Henrietta in. Story starts in Chicago in the I don't think it actually says when, but I think the early 20th century. But she's going to New Orleans. Then in the present, she's headed to not New Orleans. She's headed to Haven. But in the present, Gambit and Rogue are in bed together, and Gambit is told to come quickly and hurry. The Dragon Satarang from the first issue is there, and is outside. Wanting to talk to Gambit. Gambit, it should be said, stole the one of the eyes of Agamotto from Satarang in the first issue. And Satarang also sniffs out the fact that there was sex between two near immortals recently, Storm and Wolverine. But Gambit made a deal with Satarang, though, and Satarang wants to potentially alter the deal, but he's being, he's not saying like, "Hey, I'm altering the deal." It's like, I would like to alter the deal, but you can decide you want to alter it. Elsewhere in Haven House, the Outliers are woken up by Deathstream. They take a boat to the pond where Deathstream says this is the dark artery. But and Satarang takes Gambit to the Savage Land. Back in the past, Henrietta arrives in New Orleans. The trip is not exactly great. The time period she was, well, considered less than. So, but However, she states that in her journal that there's a person constantly making the Midnight M to her in the on her trip, though. But the Outliers go into the Dark Artery and find a circle of coffins. In the Savage Land, Saturang and Gambit fight some Tyrannosaurs. They win, and one of them is, and Saturang makes a meal out of one, but Saturang tells Gambit about a little bit about the eye. So he says that it will give Gambit power, and he will crave it in the night. But it will give you hungers that cannot be satisfied without pain. Basically saying Gambit will crave flesh. It'll be live animal at first, and friends, family, wives, maybe. And Andy Saturday says he should have told Gambit. In fairness, but Deckman did blind him at the pyramid. And so, Gambit basically asked a simple deal. If Saturn takes the eye back, or does Gambit start feeling peckish? But and Henrietta is somewhat mistreated in the past by law enforcement of New Orleans when she arrives. And she sees the traveler's code, and one of her eyes was glow. But the Outliers continue their trek through the Dark Artery, and Deathstream tells them not to be afraid because, well, whosoever touches the Man-Thing, if they know fear, burns at the touch. And yes, Man-Thing shows up. And that is where the issue ends. Okay. When I first read this issue, I was not expecting Man-Thing to show up, but okay, alright. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Phoenix, number 10. Where we left off, Pericus had managed to summon his fellow Dark Gods, and to a degree utilizing the power that Adani had been given from Phoenix. The issue opens with Jean remembering the death of her childhood friend that she felt, and also reminiscing through her life. And she takes on Pericus and his fellow Dark Gods, and honestly, she is more than a match for them. And she basically makes short work of them. However, it, the effects of this begin to cross over into the realm that, or into the bleed over into the universe. However, once the dark gods are banished, turns out that Phoenix now can basically rewind things, make it so that Donnie has her father back, and the world that Nova and Rocket are on now is a sanctuary world. The moon, it said the moon was a sanctuary to anyone who has been harmed or displaced by the higher powers of the universe, a place where children could just be children, and it's protected by Phoenix. And well, Nova is definitely impressed. And the issue ends with Jean flying through space. Oh, and it was her sister that died when she was a kid. I thought it was her best friend, but as Jean is flying through space, she's contacted telepathically by Sarah, who knew that Jean was alive. That is where the issue ends. Funny point, this really kind of felt like for the most part, it felt like the end of the series. I think the intention was initially for this to be a 10-issue miniseries, but it's done well, so it's a full-on ongoing. Moving on though to our last book for the moment, we've got Rogue Savage Land #3. Where we left off, the the ancient machines that basically keep the Savage Land jungle in the Antarctic are something's happening to them. That something is happening at the hands of the Priestess Zaladane. And Rogue and Magneto are there, and Rogue doesn't have access for power at all, and Magneto's powers are kind of on the fritz. So the issue opens with Rogue thinking back to when she was a kid. Her parents were young, so oftentimes they'd leave her alone at home. There was a lot of fun to have you had at night. But often, just as often, on those nights, she would watch TV. When usually what was on late at night in Calicut County was cheap old movies. Tinplate UFOs, shuffling robots with light bulb eyes, ants the size of a van. Dinosaurs, however, dinosaurs always freaked her out because she knew that at least they had been real. And sometimes she'd get scared and run across the field to her aunt, and her aunt sweetness was exactly her aunt's forte, but she basically said, hey, the only time you'll see a dinosaur is they're good and dead. But Kazar, Zabu, Magneto, and Rogue are having their evening meal. Magneto opts to turn in for the night, and Rogue tries to arrange for a have a bit of Kazar, but well, Kazar of course is married to Sheena the She Devil, and he is loyal. They may not share all their adventures, but he's loyal. However, he agrees that they'll meet her in the middle. Homies? But next day, the man apes come upon them. Apparently, the cheetah of the man apes has his dog has become some kind of decaying monster, and Kazar makes point of smashing its head, destroy the brain. Zaladin destroys an ice dinosaur from one of the mountains surrounding the Savage Land, because that mountain is going to be home to the first temple to the goddess Zaladin. Magneto and the three of them fight some zombie dinosaurs, which are being controlled by Shisa the Witch One, who once tried to conquer the Fall people with a resurrected army of resurrected by a cursed skull, but Shisa died, and the skull was shattered. But Kazar and Magneto and as well as Rogue deal with the zombie dinosaurs. So and Rogue manages to lead some of them to directly to Shisa and destroy her. But that's actually causes the problem, because as we know, it's Zaladin. But Kazar throws a rock. With the sigil of the holy language of the Sun People, but painted in blood and reversed. They say it's the mark of the fallen priestess of Garok, Zaladin. So now we're kind of on the right track. And Magneto apologizes for what he's done for the way he has in the past treated Kazar's people in the Savage Land. However, it seems that Magneto is bleeding rather profusely from his eyes and his nose, probably other parts as well, and that is where the issue ends. Oof, that's bleeding from one's eyes is not exactly a good sign. But decent issue. I'm digging the book. It's not the greatest book, but it's decent. Anyways, that's the do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, Mastodon, Twitter, Patreon, PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.